This is the TV Live podcast with Rob Francis.
The 1991 ITV franchise auctions are often described as a technical reform, a new way of awarding licenses, a dose of market logic applied to an old system. But for those of us watching at the time, especially as children, it didn't feel technical at all. It felt like television itself was wobbling. This wasn't just about who made the programmes. It was about whether the ITV we'd grown up with would survive in anything like the same form. The Broadcasting Act 1990 set all this in motion. It came wrapped in language about competition, efficiency and choice. ITV companies, the government argued, had grown too comfortable, too powerful, too protected. The old system where franchises were awarded on merit and public service was painted as cosy and outdated. What replaced it was something far colder. The franchise auctions turned broadcasting into a high-stakes gamble. Pass the quality threshold, then bid the most money and hope your sums held up. It was meant to reward efficiency. In practice, it rewarded caution and punished ambition. Across the country, ITV companies were thrown into months of uncertainty. Nobody knew who was bidding what. Staff worked under a cloud. Viewers sensed the tension, even if they didn't fully understand it. Continuity announcements felt careful. News reports felt loaded. ITV was watching itself being judged. Some companies survived, but not without scars. Granada in the northwest held on, and that mattered enormously. Had Granada fallen, the shock would have been cultural, not just commercial. Coronation Street alone made Granada feel untouchable, but even they didn't escape unscathed. The pressure to justify costs and reduce risk only grew afterwards. Yorkshire and Tyne-Tees both survived too, but only just. Their bids left them financially exposed, and within a few years they were forced together in a merger that felt less like growth and more like retreat. The regional identities remained on screen, but the independence was already fading. Then there were the casualties. The loss of Thames Television was seismic. Thames wasn't just a franchise holder, it was ITV's conscience. Serious drama, investigative journalism, and a confidence that came from knowing you mattered nationally. Its replacement, Carlton, promised continuity, but it felt different, more corporate, less rooted in programme-making culture. Even as a viewer, you could sense that shift. Breakfast television was another shock. TVAM had survived its early chaos and became hugely successful. Profitable, popular, and part of the national routine. And yet, it lost to Sunrise Television on a higher bid. Even Margaret Thatcher later apologised personally to TVAM's management. That alone tells you how badly the system misfired. In the southwest, TSW disappeared despite a strong regional identity. West Country arrived cheaper, leaner and safer. The same pattern repeated. Ambition replaced by caution. And then there was the change that mattered most to me. TVS. TVS felt like a broadcaster with confidence. It fought big. It made drama, children's television, factual programmes, and it did so with a sense that the South and South East mattered. It had studios in Southampton and Maidstone, and it felt present in both. It didn't feel like a relay station, it felt like a creative force. But TVS had overreached. Its move into the United States, especially buying MTM, looked bold until the market turned. Suddenly, ambition became a weakness. When the auction came, TVS bid high. It had to. Losing the franchise would mean the end of the company. But the ITC decided that the bid wasn't sustainable. It was too risky. Meridian won by being careful. The handover still stands out in my memory. The final days of TVS felt heavy, almost mournful. This wasn't a broadcaster winding down naturally, it was being switched off. Now, Meridian wasn't bad television. It was solid and professional, but it felt smaller, less confident, more aware of its limits. As a child, I couldn't explain it, but I could feel it. Something bold had been replaced by something cautious. And that feeling wasn't unique to the south of England. It was the mood of ITV as a whole. Once the new franchises took effect in 1993, the consequences became clear. Costs were cut, production centres closed, regional programming was trimmed back, risk became expensive, and safety became policy. The auction system itself was never repeated. It didn't need to be. It had already done what it really set out to do. It destabilised ITV and made consolidation inevitable. By the time Carlton and Granada merged, creating ITV plc, the regional system was effectively over. Names disappeared, logos gone, and decision-making moved elsewhere. Looking back now, the irony is hard to miss. A system designed to promote competition ended up reducing it. A reform meant to improve quality made broadcasters more fearful of failure. As a child, back in 1992, I watched familiar companies disappear and new ones arrive that felt quieter, safer, and less rooted. As an adult in broadcasting, I understand the logic that drove it, but I still think it was deeply flawed. The 1991 ITV franchise auctions didn't just decide who held licenses. They changed the character of British television. They taught broadcasters that survival mattered more than vision. And once television learns that lesson, it never truly unlearns it.
This has been the TV Live podcast with Rob Francis, a Red Telephone Box production.